Welcome to the IAB UK Podcast.
Welcome back to the IAB UK Podcast. From the IAB, I'm James Chandler, and you join us for the second instalment of this retail media miniseries produced in partnership with Tesco Media Insight Platform. We're breaking new ground on the IAB UK Podcast today, as for the first time, we've taken the mics out on the road. In a moment, I'll be joined here in the studio by Tesco's Amanda Tushingham. But first, I took a visit to Tesco Extra in Watford to check out some of the brilliant stuff in store that brands can use to continue that seamless sofa-to-store journey that we talked about in episode 1. So we've come here today, we're at the Tesco store of the future. So we're at Tesco Extra in Watford, which is quite possibly the biggest Tesco I think I've ever seen. And we're going to meet Tash Ward, who's head of media enablement at Tesco Media. And the plan, I think, is for Tash to take us through all of the things that are on offer in store, how they all work together, how they do this jigsaw of a customer journey all the way through from something you see on television through to when you're stood in an aisle. Let's go. So Tash, what does a head of media enablement do?
So we work alongside sort of all the Tesco customer teams to ensure that anything that goes into store or on tesco.com is kind of aligned to both Tesco and brand guidelines. So we look to unlock different new elements, work with that team just to make sure it works for customers and, and Tesco and the CPG as well.
And you've been, how long have you been at Tesco?
Well, for 14 years, so worked across like a number of different teams, and I guess been on a real journey through media, because when I first began, sort of the only media touch points we really had was coupons or direct mail, and
just
now,
physical paper thing.
Correct. And now you look around the store and there's so many different moments where we can talk to the customer across all of our portfolio.
And there's obviously still lots of non-digital stuff, but like almost every aisle we go down, there's screens and there's stuff that feels like it's a bit more connected. I mean, we just walked past the massive screens at the end. I can see them big.
The goalpost
screens. Yeah, you're going to have to educate me on what all the various things are.
Yeah, so most of the screens in store are sort of linked to products. So what you'll see is that the products are nearby, and that enables, I guess, the customer to have that bit of inspiration of when they're shopping through the store, especially ones on the gondola end, because they're linked to the products and the aisles that they're nearby.
So like these ones on the end by the wine there. Oh yes, of course, it's got one there. But like this massive one at the end, that's the goalpost, right?
That's the goalpost.
You can see that. I mean, we're halfway down the store. Yeah. And that's absolutely huge.
So it's a really key moment to have all that brand messaging across, and I think it's where you can kind of interlink the above the line campaigns that you're running. Obviously then linked to, the offer in the store, but it's that chance to be a bit more creative.
And how important is that? Because I guess, we've heard lots in the various episodes we've done about you're trying to do that consistent storytelling all through the journey, and you can get everything from the stuff you might be doing on Sky or ITV into, we're here in the store now. How easy is tying all that together so you get a really consistent message?
It's much easier now because of the digitalisation of the store. So what we can do is to sort of overlay customer segments and use all the data to understand where that customer is at all parts of their journey. So, if they're at home, we can ensure that the right customer groups are targeted with that and link it to which stores they go into and what time of the day, etc. So I guess it's much easier for above the line campaigns to become store because of creativity as well, where you've got the screens, you can include a bit more moving. Very different to sort of our traditional cardboard media that we've always had.
Yeah, 100%. And what how much of it is almost connected in the way that the out of home stuff we see outside is automated, can be bought programmatically? Do you see a future where everything in store will be like that?
Well, we're moving to that place. I think we're sort of connecting it up. I think it's much easier sort of outside of store where the JC Deco screen that we have, the partnership with them, and then that can link into our customer base. So yeah, we're on the journey to being able for suppliers to be able to buy media and it run through like all parts of the sofa to store.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And here we are, we're at, so you've got like this amazing Cadbury's thing here. So you've got some sort of proper cardboard signage, but then you've got this digital stuff as well.
Yeah, so these are our kind of like, I should think of the words, Tower Island. And what this enables us to do is to just change the creative to align to the products that are underneath.
Oh, got it.
And then here you can see it's one of our biggest partners, Cadbury, and they're advertising their 200-year campaign, and that follows through the whole store. So if you go to our Wembley store at the minute, it's wrapped with Cadbury's 200 years. And I guess what we're able to do with the store now is kind of use it as a theatre to make these campaigns bigger and better than ever before.
But the standout is sensational. Like, it's just got this sort of beautiful frame.
Right, isn't
like
it? Yeah.
You look on the shelf, it just jumps out at you, doesn't it? Why are we in Watford, I guess, is a good question. Why this store? I mean, it's probably the biggest Tesco I think I've ever been in, but what's special about this store?
And I guess it's partly that, right? It is one of our biggest stores, and so we use it as a test ground. And you'll see as you walk around, we have like different screens in here that we haven't rolled out fully across the network, but what we're able to do in here is to test different elements. And part of the testing is to ensure how the customers interact, how the store staff interact, how it works for everyone. And we'll do a mixture of sort of research in terms of customer feedback, store staff feedback, and then obviously we can look at the impact of the sales in the store. So we're able to join up that data and really understand the impact that media is making.
And I hear again and again when I talk to Tesco, just the customer is the most important thing in all of it. Anything that's going to get away in customers or they don't like, it almost goes to the top of the pile in terms of...
Yeah, exactly, because it's the most important part, especially in a store where we still get 80% of sales coming through in store. So we need to ensure that is a place where customers still feel comfortable to shop and it doesn't impact their shopping trip, but it's actually additional to it, so they're inspired and educated and able to, and like it's an additive part of it rather than the disruptor.
Yeah. On the cardboard stuff and the whole legacy of trade and shopper marketing, there have been ways you can measure that to kind of measure the effectiveness of it. Does it get easier or harder when you start throwing digital into the mix?
I think easier, because we can we can use all the club card data behind it to see what customers are in store, how the sales are impacted, and having it digitally means we can look on a certain day, what's customer group, and really start to drill down into the detail of how those campaigns have performed.
You get that precision, I suppose, don't you? Like if you're trying to test something, you can have it in certain things.
Exactly, and you can change the creative. We do lots of sort of A/B testing. We can look at different creative formats, whether trade or brand creative, and kind of how everyone interacts to them.
Give us a sense of the various different elements that you get in store then. I mean, my sort of trade marketing is pretty wobbly anyway. I mean, gondola ends and barkers are probably about it for me, but you're better versed in it.
So what we've done, we have what we call our connected store portfolio, and it sort of starts before you come in to store with our partnership with JCDecaux and the digital screens we have there. And then as you walk through the store, sort of as you can see, there's multiple different touch points for the customer. The radio's playing, we're able to use that to amplify the brands in store. We've got like the traditional point of sale, the digital screens, which are interlinked again with all the products. And then later on as we go through, we've also got our scan as you shop handsets, which we can show advertising on as well.
Yeah.
So we're all like connected customer journey. So as the customer goes through the store, they'll be able to follow the touch points and have that real message follow them throughout the store.
Let's make our way over to scan as you shop. One, I'm interested in it too. We're stood in the cold bit.
Yeah, it's freezing.
We're
actually
in the fridge section, so let's get over to scan as you shop. Even like the veg looks better.
I know,
my local
so
Tesco.
nice, isn't it?
It's all laid out absolutely beautifully.
It's because it's quite near to head office.
Someone's going to poke their head in and think, there we go.
It's very nice. It's wonderful signage, and I guess that also makes it easier for customers to navigate the store.
Definitely. All right, so we're at the front of the store now where we came in, but we're not leaving, so we're going over to the scan as you shop. So for the sort of the uninitiated, I mean, most people have probably done this in their local supermarket. Talk us through what scan as you shop is.
So scan as you shop is the handsets that customers can link into when they come into store. Okay. So scan their club card, it pops up on the handset, and customers really like to use them. We've seen quite good customer feedback because it helps customers to budget as they walk around the store, and also it speeds up the entire shopping process, because at the end you scan it and you can check out. But what we're able to do on those handsets now is as you scan your club card, the handset's released, we're able to surface advertising, and again, because this is all linked to club card, we can be really personalised here.
So you and I could effectively get a different message.
We can get and different audiences, and also what we're looking to do on this is sort of have the ability to geo-target. So as you walk through the store, surface different products as you walk to different points in the store, and also targeting products. We're calling it sort of key value targeting. So if you scan a hair mask into your shopping trip, then we can surface you, an advert for shampoo, because we know that you're
very nice.
Looking for similar products.
It's like the holy grail of marketing.
Yeah,
that's sort of incredible. And you're in store and you're ready to buy it. It's not like I'm just searching for this thing.
Yeah,
online.
No, it's really, and like we were the first ones to sort of scale the handsets en masse, be able to advertise on them. And we're seeing it's a way, like, as we stand here, like more and more customers are using it to shop. So it's a real key way to be at the point of purchase for customers.
And how many stores? This is just in this store. I imagine you tested it, but is this across the whole?
Not across the whole estate yet, but rolling out more and more. Yeah. So I think we're up to just over 400 stores now.
Okay.
So there's a huge network, a huge coverage. And again, what we'll be able to do as we develop this is really look at the time of day customers are shopping. Yeah. So, in the evening, do we surface different ads to different customer groups? The dynamic nature of it is just brilliant, because it means that customers are really going to get see the right advert that appeals to them at that right point.
Did you get any sense when you were testing it? Was there anything that sort of changed in your thinking or stuff you discovered from? Do customers mind it? Do they even notice it?
No, we see quite a good uplift. So when we look at brands that have run on it, we see the customers are interacting. And they're quite personalised, as you can see. So as you go into your handset, it's got your name comes up on it.
I'm going to go and do one, yeah.
Yeah. Got your club cards.
Got my club card. Okay. Beep. Oh, hello James. There we go.
And see if we get
that's all right.
Stronger starts. So we're able to also show sort of Tesco campaigns on there.
This is like a bigger screen. When I started in mobile advertising, like the screens were smaller than that. That's all right. And that's like that far away. So yeah, basically I could be...
So look at that, it's right in your hand. You're obviously focusing on the screen. Yeah. So it's just a key moment to, as I said, like educate customers on different brands.
That's pretty good.
You can also include like where it's in stores. So you could say found in the impulse aisle, etc. So it's a navigational cue as well if you've got a different product.
How much of it is brands or agencies coming to you saying that we specifically want this stuff, or how much of it is going via like Emma's team, a big brief and she's stitching all of those different touch points together?
Like a bit of both. I would say the having the planning and strategy team has been fundamental to getting some of these bigger brand campaigns through, because it enables us to start with the brief right at the beginning, right? So we can see exactly what the product is, who we're looking to target, and create that whole sofas to store. So yeah, I think that's the way we're able to tap into bigger brand budgets with some of this more creative media and sort of aligning to that.
You speaking of Emma, we were talking to her in episode 1, and she was saying she's been at Tesco and done Humvee a long time, and she was saying actually in the last 2 years, just the openness and the innovation and the speed has just sort of gone up a few notches. I don't know if you noticed that as well.
It's amazing. I think this is due to like really partnering with the Tesco team.
Yeah.
We're able to work with them and surface like the customer data and the research to to show that it works for, you know, customers as well as brands. And I think it has really step changed what we can do. So in some of the stores you'll see now, we've got the big front of store brand stands that brands can activate on. And like, we had a few over the summer, a Howlands one and one for the Champions League. And they're a phenomenal way to, you know, draw customers into your brand. We're also exploring bigger experiential media. As I said earlier, we're
the Wembley
looking at
wrap
store
thing
wraps.
sounds amazing.
Yeah, huge. You know, it's a huge moment for Tesco to kind of ensure that the right brand fits. And I guess that's all part of it as well. We need to make sure that it makes sense. Yeah. You know, it's relevant in terms of location and brand, you know, at that point in time to really surface it. And that's a lot of the work that we do alongside the customer team.
And what's your take on, because so much of the store has always, you know, sat with the trade and the shopper marketing guys. You know, so much of what we're talking about and Emma's talking about is perhaps the brand or the media teams. Like, I think I know what the answer is, but surely this stuff works together when that all pieces itself together as well.
Yeah, correct, right. I think that's the sweet spot, isn't it? To ensure that everything that, you know, we know that we've got huge above the line budgets and the brands are doing a lot of different media outside of Tesco. But when we can kind of overlay that with our audiences and then ensure that that still follows through into store, as I said, on those multiple touch points, I think it just completes the journey, right, for a customer. And it takes it beyond Tesco, right? It's more of a brand building piece, which we've never been able to do. But now we have all the creative solutions. I think it enables us to step into that game.
And what, if we sort of look to the future, what are you sort of excited by the things that are being tested at the moment? You might not be able to go into them, but there must be all sorts of things that you're testing at the moment.
Yeah, always. And like, as I said, the future of the store is a key sort of work stream. Yeah. A lot of it, as we've talked to, is about the digitalisation of the store continuing. Like, how do we get more digital touch point? Yeah. And again, how do we unlock other bits that maybe we haven't ever done as Tesco Media? So yeah, lots going on. And I would say, you know, the more digital, as we've discussed it, the better, because it kind of enables us to just add a bit more creativity and be more dynamic. If you think about the JC Deco screens outside the store, we can have weather overlays. So if it's rainy, we show different content. To if it's sunny, on the days in the summer where there was high pollen count, we show different creative. So I think, you know, it's the digitalisation of store is going to enable us to do that and really personalise it for customers.
And when you're that sort of conduit, I guess, between the Tesco in store and then the media guys as well. Yeah. Is there, because I guess there's always a balance in there. You could have 1 million screens in here, but at some point it's going to kind of get in the way. Yeah. How is that balance? And are the Tesco store guys quite receptive to new things coming in and it working?
Well, and I think that's why we test it in a store like this, right? So we can put additional touch points in and test it. And I think everybody wants to go bigger and better, but like you said, there's a point where everything will be a screen. So, you know, so it's ensuring that we do that customer feedback and can close that loop, right, and understand how it works for the brands and for the customers, because there will be a point where you know, there's too much.
Yeah, the tipping point is always there. And the media people, I guess, you know, will always want more stuff and it to be more connected and more adjustable more than ever.
But then I guess, you know, as we said at the start, we have to remember we are in a store. Totally. And you know, the key part of that is the customers who are buying the product. So it's just finding that balance between it, I think, which at the minute feels like there's still more we can do.
Yeah, no, for sure. Amazing. Tash, that was brilliant. Thanks so much for showing us around.
No, thank you.
Tesco's Tash Ward on site with me there at Tesco Extra in Watford. And we have a huge focus on retail media at the IAB and spend so much time talking about its incredible growth. But actually visiting the store just makes it all so much more real and tangible, and really impossible not to put the customer right in the middle of your planning when you're literally surrounded by people doing their weekly shop. Which brings me very neatly onto my next guest, here to tell us more about how clients are using some of those brilliant opportunities we just heard about. I'm joined by Amanda Tushingham, Tesco's Director of Media Sales. it sounds like the conversation with Tash, Amanda, that this is just this incredible playground for brands. How do you make sure that the brands you're working with are getting the most out of what's available in store?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess there's a number of factors there. Number one is, how do we really interrogate that brief? And how do we move the client along the journey with us, thinking about brand creativity and how we speak to every part of that funnel. And we approach those briefs with that sofa to store mentality, which is how do we think about that connected journey and the connected plan that goes alongside it, and then we map that to the different parts of a shopper funnel or the purchase funnel, from prompt, purchase, protect and prime, importantly. And that's really where we're seeing how these new connected store platforms can really drive that priming part of the media. So thinking about brand and creativity and how we're unlocking that within our clients' executions. And we're seeing a definite swing in terms of clients looking more towards that prime and prompt part of the plan. So how do we inspire customers to think differently about a brand from when they're on their way, or thinking about their shopping, or thinking about what they need to buy that week, or thinking just about the brands that they have brand favorability and brand love for. So it's really thinking about that and then cementing that when they get into store through really impactful media.
Can I ask as well, because we kind of talk about the fun, you always have this idea that it's this sort of big overarching brand idea at the top which kind of funnels down, and when we're talking to Tash in store, it's very much like the through line is always, you know, big brand idea that's above the line and follow it into store. Does it always have to be that way?
I think we're trying to get brands on that journey with us and trying to get brands to think like that. Where we've come from in the past is that a shopper mechanic and a shopper execution feels really different. It feels like it's, you know, we're still bringing clients on the journey about it not having to have a price, it not having to be around like pick it up, buy it now because it's on half price. I mean, there is definitely a role for that, don't get me wrong. But it's about rethinking the role that the store has and the role that our data-powered media has within that brand piece. So it's really about how can we build the red thread for brands? There's a lot of, you know, when we think about planning and comms planning, we think about that red thread of creative, and that sits across every single touch point for the consumer. And actually that in-store piece, or that moving into store, or even if you're on Tesco.com, actually it's about how do we speak to that red thread as well and bring that into the customer journey. And so building in the right platforms, the right mechanic from a creative perspective in order to speak to that. And I think it's really interesting that actually I was talking to at Barrows, who are our partner for our digital screen within store, our digital screens, and they're actually working with a major CPG brand in the US to actually think about what are the insights we can take from those connected experiences in store, and where can we use that data, where can we use those data points to actually inform brand strategy.
So do it the other way.
So flipping it completely on its head. And that to me was new news this morning, and I was like, wow, like we work really closely with said brand in the UK. It's one of our most innovative advertisers actually. And I'm thinking, right, okay, how can we blueprint that insight? How can we think about that in the UK? Because actually that in-store creativity piece, and I'm sure you were pretty blown away by some of the ways we can be creative in store when you did that store walk with Tash.
It's amazing.
Like how can we start to think really smartly and be thought leaders in that? Because I guess at Tesco Media we have, and from a Tesco store footprint perspective, we have some of the most connected and impactful media out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me about some of the brands that are doing a great job, that are just doing brilliant stuff in store.
We've definitely been on a really big journey in the last 12 months. I look after Impulse and Household, so there's a lot of exciting brands that sit within my team's structure that are really working closely with us. We've been nominated for a Media Week award for thank you, for best use of retail media for one of those, which is Walkers, which is about how do they own a moment within the shopper psyche, which is lunchtime for crisps. And I think it's probably one of our gold standard campaigns where we've looked at that customer insight, we've looked at the scale of that customer insight, and actually then where that's mapped across not only in-store formats, but also above the line, and where that data can fuel that above the line piece to really drive customer outcomes. and cement them as the nation's favourite crisp when it comes to lunchtime. Yeah. So when you dig into some of the details around that from an insight and planning perspective, it's really, I think Emma refers to it as the jaw drop moment or the penny drop moment, which is like, this is the opportunity, which is really exciting for clients. And then these are the different platforms that we can really harness and utilise to bring that sofa to store moment to life. And it's interesting to me. It's not always about just a linear journey. We know that consumers don't think like that. They don't act 100%. Like that. I mean, we've got 1.5 active consumers on Tesco.com every week who are mentally curating baskets. They're not shopping online. They then go in store to buy. Yeah. And for me, that feels like a huge opportunity to really get your brand in front of somebody who is thinking about what they're going to buy, not even what they're actually adding to basket to be delivered. Yeah. So that 1.5 million active consumers on Tesco.com who are ready to be primed with your messaging is really, really exciting to me. And it's like, how do we build the really great ad products that sit alongside that, which is a really great roadmap for us. Yeah.
You mentioned your team a little bit there. I'm curious, tell me a bit about your role and your team's role. We talk about structure, I think, in every episode here, and how actually bringing some of the more disparate bits together, the shopper trade world, the brand world, the media bit together, surely getting all those things working together will work very well. Tell us how your team works and how your team's maybe aiming for that.
Yeah, no, it's a really interesting space, and we've had lots of structural change over the last year to make sure we are delivering the best experience we can for our clients. So my team are a group of senior client partners, and we face into the brands themselves. Right. And I guess what we're doing on behalf of a lot of those brands is building a kind of media-led thread amongst their own internal stakeholders. Yeah. So where, I guess, roll back a couple of years ago, we were speaking very much to shopper teams and teams that were activating in store, whose role and responsibility was just to activate what happens at point of sale and maybe e-com. My team are now responsible for definitely speaking to them still. That's still a really integral part of who we speak to and who we're delivering expertise for. But also media teams, brand custodians, innovation teams within clients. And it's really interesting to see how many clients that we do work with in that in my team who just aren't set up in the way to really bring those budgets together. Yeah. And so what we're doing is asking for bigger, better briefs, asking for different kinds of briefs, and then galvanising those teams together when it comes to responding back. Yeah. And working with our internal teams like Emma's team, who I know you've spoken to from a strategic and planning perspective, to really help fuel those, and our digital growth teams to really help fuel those response to briefs. Yeah. But my team own those client relationships.
Got it. So you are the people kind of stitching it together in a way.
Yeah, and actually quite often we are the ones introducing shopper and brand teams in meetings. I mean, it's unbelievable how many times we've had clients into our office or we've been in clients' offices and sat at a table and they've never met before. Yeah. So we're seeing, it's really exciting to be part of their maturity as well when it comes to retail media, and we're definitely at the heart of that.
And I feel like the ones that can not only align on budgets but objectives as well, they are the ones that are going to be out front. They're going to be the ones that are going to win before anyone else.
Yeah, and I think that's exciting for us because we're trying to get upstream of those briefs and trying to get ahead of where the brand KPIs come in and how we can answer both in terms of asking for those briefs, working on those business challenges and how we drive outcomes. But I think it's really interesting to think about how we as a business are starting to think about measuring that, where we can start to measure that brand impact as well. It is really exciting for us, both from an above the line perspective, which we know we've got the tools to do that with now, but how does that then manifest itself in store? 100%. How are we building mature metrics? How are we building, how are we speaking to attention in store? And things like that are in our roadmap and feel really exciting and a real gateway to then open up those conversations with brands.
Yeah, it'd be a terrific one to crack. Amanda, thank you so much for giving us some time.
Thank you for having me.
And that's it for episode 2 of our retail media mini-series with Tesco Media and Insight Platform. Thank you so much to Tash, to Amanda and the team at Tesco Extra in Watford for having us. Coming up in the final episode, I'm joined by Steve Edwards, who's head of agency at Tesco Media, OMG's Vicky Fox, and Wavemaker's Andy Collins to hear how agencies are working with Tesco and to give you a behind-the-curtain look at what to expect from Tesco at IAB Retail Media Upfront on Wednesday, the 22nd of October. We'll see you next time.
IAB UK, building a better future for digital advertising for the benefit of everyone.